Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. First of all, if you're after a great side-by-side comparison in terms of gameplay about what each game does really well, or you're looking for a brief overview of the differences between the two games, I can definitely recommend a video that Jesse Cox has put out recently on the subject. He's been around forever, has played both extensively, and can talk you through from a position of knowledge on this matter. I, however, am a total noob when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, and I'll be the first to say it, though not gonna lie, there is a free trial, so what do I have to lose other than several hundred or thousand hours of my life of getting really invested in another MMORPG? This is honestly one of the things that scares me most about trying something different. MMOs eat time like nothing else. When they're good, no other game genre comes close. World of Warcraft, right? Anyways, I want to talk about the player displeasure towards Blizzard, the game they've been producing over the past few years, to what extent Final Fantasy XIV has been on the up, and why of all times this has happened now. Let's start with WoW. Patch 9.1 has not been well received overall, off the back of the longest introductory patch in World of Warcraft's history, 7 months. Furthermore, off the back of a delayed release, which hasn't happened since TBC, though the delayed release initially seemed like a very good gesture and gave so many people hope, but there's been nothing really to follow that up. If we put Shadowlands' content schedule alongside Warlords of Draenor here, as WoD was notoriously content scarce and again poorly received, Blackrock Foundry was introduced before the 0.1 patch and was about 2.5 months after launch. Patch 6.1 was 3 months to launch. Among the main points of the patch included Twitter integration and new Blood Elf models, take that as you will. Patch 6.2, the final major content patch, by the way, was 7 months after launch. Legion came some 14 months later, so our 0.1 is coming at the same point in time as 0.2 did in WoD. With the 9.1 reception, I'm fully expecting Shadowlands to get WoDed, if that's a word. Wrap it up in 9.2, push hard to try and make the next expansion a good one. I always thought if WoW ever started to struggle, it would be off the back of doing another WoD. And while Shadowlands has plenty more content overall, players aren't too happy about what's on the proverbial menu. There is the good stuff, the Mythic Plus, the raiding, maybe people are into the story if you are, but between the daily gameplay loops, the non-stop grinding of new currencies, Korthia being smaller than hoped for many players, Dominion socket dilemmas, betrayal penalties for covenants, you know these are all going to be fixed in 9.2, right? Or beforehand at least. Sped up, put on vendors, daily requirements nerfed, account-wide solutions. It's been this way since Legion now. You should know how the script looks. The fingers of WoW players have been crossed for a very long time at this point. Saying this all, I am the classic Andy in the room, as they say. TBC's still fun for me, albeit quite raid loggy if you don't PvP, and I'm fine with that though. I would take a game where I can log in and do the fun stuff that I found fun, as opposed to a game feeling as though it needs to give me a list of reasons to pull me back in daily, and for me to feel as though I'm actively missing out should I not. I'm not losing any sleep over missing a fishing daily, unless they would have had one of those baby crocolis as a reward maybe. But at least it's not affecting my character power directly. The site that broke the news that Final Fantasy had overtaken WoW was referencing the MMO population site as a source in question. As for their findings, it's been kind of debunked now as a very rough source and shouldn't be taken too directly, as it cherry picks data. Neither game has full transparency on their subs or monthly active users, and the breaking news did not factor in Classic to World of Warcraft, which immediately sets it apart. For example, if somebody asked me, is RuneScape an active MMO? I'd need to know which one you're talking about. I couldn't just give you an overall answer based on the generalization when there's two completely separate games running alongside each other. Regardless though, it did spark interest in this different MMO. This is far from the first time, however. The WoW population has been under the magnifying glass ever since they went off the grid following the subscriber drop at the start of Warlords of Draenor and not announced their active players anymore. Speculation has been abound, yet people just keep on coming back to the MMO giant. But we might just be hitting that turning point. World of Warcraft players en masse are for the first time taking a look outside the cave of Azeroth and seeing, maybe there's a bit more to the world of MMOs. And with the lead competitor having the power of anime and cat girls on their side, WoW's up against some tough competition. This has been the catalyst for a chain reaction of Final Fantasy XIV mania. With WoW players dissatisfied at 9.1 and looking elsewhere, Final Fantasy XIV has taken all the right moves to scoop up the disgruntled vets. For example, whilst Blizzard insult and look down upon their biggest content creator for the game, Asmongold, Square Enix enables rewards for people who stream the game to allow them to directly benefit from their viewers for in-game rewards. What a remarkable difference. And streamers, particularly when they have this bigger of a viewer base, are such an incredibly important source of influence. The numbers speak for themselves. For Asmongold, 9.1 release, 63k viewers. TBC Classic release, 133k viewers. First Final Fantasy XIV stream, off the back of no special patch or anything, he just picks up the game, 211,000 viewers. That is a big increase upon all the brand new WoW content across Classic and Live shortly after the dust has settled on it. And no, it wasn't as much as the Classic launch. I went and looked, that was like 280k. Still though, clearly attracting a colossal viewer base interest. Games can live and die on streams and streamers alone. GTA RP, Fall Boys, Among Us, and if a game flops, it gets torn down on Twitch so quickly. Look at Cyberpunk here, just look at this mess. Anyways, I could go on about streamers and their impact on games, which I think I will at some point, but the point is, they're important, and seeing the leading guy for WoW trying a different game has brought new faces, streamer and player alike, to Final Fantasy XIV. It's clearly trending upwards, and not just in theory either. It's going way up on Google searches, near peaking on stream charts, which are public domain by the way, though not all Final Fantasy XIV players will be logging in from Steam, so it's not a good overall tracker, but it's going up, you can see that at least. Square Enix have sold out, quote unquote, of digital copies of the game, believe it or not. When their servers are full, they stop you creating more characters. Novel idea that could have been good for Classic, meaning every server's at maximum capacity and they're still getting sales flooding in. The latest 4chan leaks are right on cue with Blizzard accusations. As always, make of these what you will, though I'll at least pay some lip service to it. Whilst it's so entirely all-encompassing, as they tend to be, of widespread sentiment of each Blizzard game, perhaps there's some truth to some of the words being spoken here which can resonate with players of those various games. To go over a small bit, the people in charge, they're acting like this came out of nowhere when referring to Final Fantasy XIV and don't seem to understand why it's drawing players away in their tens of thousands. We've all tried to highlight things it's doing that are clearly appealing to an MMO audience and not, in my opinion, focusing on more mobile game style retention traps to keep monthly active users and habit-forming personalities logging in. It's not that they don't care, they just seem so pig-headed and digging their heels in with their fingers in their ears, thinking all the problems will go away because WoW is too big to fail. There will never be any real competition and they will keep coming back, but they aren't anymore, not in the numbers that they used to. The players though have always been critical of Blizzard. The game has been dying since, well, forever at this point. The sky has been falling long before TBC even existed, even back then, and today the sentiment is growing ever so much bitter day upon day. And that sentiment is Blizzard bad. This is actually a secret cheat code to earn internet points online wherever you want. Case in point, the other day there was a post on the WoW subreddit where a player had received a message from Blizzard, which was an official response with their issue being solved with no response posted. It turned out that this was an automated message players received upon having an item restoration. Now, admittedly, yes, they could be doing better here and giving some actual clarity why this message has received, but 13.7 thousand people saw this and thought, yep, Blizzard bad, and went and upvoted it for those sweet internet points. This is kinda the problem WoW's community has. And I agree, Blizzard aren't what they used to be. The customer service cuts have hit them hard. I've played this game for a long time too, and of course expecting people to be reasonable online is like expecting people to be reasonable online. But I feel it doing videos, I read it online, it really is overbearing how Blizzard bad is everywhere. Like people are setting themselves reminders to check back just to dump on the game and make themselves feel good about having quit years ago in Cataclysm. Then again, it is hard to ignore the bads. The sentiment is overbearing, yet there is plenty of truth to it. I guess you could say there is something somewhat unsavory in the World of Warcraft salad. And you know one thing that no WoW killer has ever done before? Being a game that's existed for years, that fosters a positive game community, and appears to have a developer that, yes, wants your money, my god, go and look at the cash shop, but at least knows the worth of the players and values them beyond 6 months, here's your next mount, we need a good quarter. Final Fantasy initially got off to a shocking start, as I hear, and look at it now. The ball is in your court, Blizzard. Final Fantasy has been the home to take in the refugees from WoW, but has it truly overtaken WoW? At this point in time, I'd be very surprised if it had, but if these trends stick, I bet it won't be too long until it does. I'll be interested to see how long the Final Fantasy hype train goes. For years and years, I've heard people say and complain about Blizzard and WoW. They say it's bad, but it's still the best option. They're too attached to their character, and they're a victim to one big old lost time fallacy. Maybe though, times are changing. And you know what? After doing this video, I'm sure I can manage the TBC time investments, even if Final Fantasy XIV is as good as they say. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a known a Lalafell conjurer to make. Fun video to do this. I may look at doing more general MMO stuff in the future as well. Always nice to spread the wings rather than being bogged down in Blizzard oil. We shall see. So if you like what I did here, give it a like, comment, sub, all the usual stuff. You know, those YouTube things. It would really help me out. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening in. And I'll see you all in the next one very soon.